Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to our first broadcast of Origin Spotlight. I'm Kelly Mcgraw, our communications manager here at Gamma. And for this first episode, we kind of just wanted to go over some of the basics for Origins this year because we know a lot of you have a lot of questions and want some more info. So what better way to do that than to talk with Paul Mcgraw, our very own events manager here at Gamma. So hi, Paul. If you could introduce yourself and just tell us a bit about your background.
Yes, I'm Paul Mcgraw. I'm the events manager here, as Kelly said. I've been with the company for about 7 years doing the same job, running events and trying to make sure that everyone has a good time at our shows.
He does a great job. So thank you, Paul. We're going to go ahead and just dive right into the questions. The way we did this, we sourced some questions from social media. I had made a post last week and kind of found some of the more common questions that a lot of you had been asking. And then we also kind of brainstormed as staff just to kind of pick out some good questions to get out some information to you all. So Paul, first question, can you talk a little bit about what Origins will look like this year and how it's going to kind of differ from years past, obviously, and just elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. So this year we'll have a little bit less space. So the show will feel a little bit smaller simply because we don't have all the halls we normally would. With that, so go some of the pod rooms. So we will have less space overall. And basically because of that, we're going to have a few less events than we normally would. But we'll still be jam-packed full with events for everybody, obviously. We are looking right now at all the health and safety guidelines that we need to follow and things that we think we need to follow just internally between the staff, just to make sure that everyone is going to be safe at the show. We will have social distancing guidelines in place. We're going to have masks at the show as a mandatory fixture. And I don't believe that's going to change, just to make sure, again, everybody's safe and everyone's having a good time without any issues. So yeah, the big thing that's going to be changing this year is the space difference and some of the groups that will be able or not be able to be at the show.
Cool. So to kind of go along with that a little bit, this year's Origins will be a hybrid show. And can you elaborate a little bit on that and what the hybrid portion will look like?
Yeah, so we're going to offer some hybrid badges online for those who want to attend virtually. We also are going to be offering the ability for GMs to sign up to run online events. And you can do so using any platform you're comfortable with, whether it's a camera down on your kitchen table, or if you're using Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator, Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, whatever you like. We're going to make sure that those games can be offered to the attendees who buy online badges and in-person badges in case you want to play in your hotel room for whatever reason. But yeah, we're creating a hybrid show that will also allow for exhibitors to be able to sell to the online attendees as well. So there will be a virtual exhibit hall. We'll also have online merch available to people. And basically, we're trying to make it feel as if you're coming to our show without having to do all the packing and the travel.
So yeah, you kind of touched on this one a little bit earlier, but can you give an update on the safety protocols that we have in place for the show so far? And I know these are changing what feels like daily, but if you could just elaborate on those a bit for everyone.
Sure. So along with the masks and the social distancing I mentioned before, we'll have mandatory areas where you can take your mask off. So if you're going to go and eat at the food court, you'll be able to sit and take your mask off there. So those guidelines will be in place and there'll be signage throughout the show. We're also making sure that we have hand sanitizer stations throughout the show. The convention center is actually helping a lot with this. They're providing more than usual cleaning services throughout the show, just to help and make sure that everyone feels safe and everything's clean. They also implemented a bunch of brand new protocols, safety protocols, in the way of like special handrails for escalators so that they self-sanitize constantly, and really nice HVAC filtration to make sure that any particles are caught throughout their ventilation system. So apart from that, and social distancing, obviously, those are all still in the works, and I'm sure we'll be getting those out to everybody before badges go live in June.
Definitely. And we'll keep everyone updated, obviously through social media and newsletters and whatnot as well. So make sure you're subscribed and follow all of our social channels if you don't. How to get that little plug in. Can you talk a little bit about the volunteer program and how people can get involved if they want to?
Sure. So one of the changes in the volunteer program that we've implemented this year is that we're requiring less hours due to a shorter time frame. Since the show will be running Thursday through Sunday rather than Wednesday through Sunday, we've cut down the hours for the highest 32-hour compensation to 24. The 4, the 8, and the 16, as well as the team lead or the volunteer leads shifts, those are all staying the same, and will all continue to have the same perks as they usually do. Other than that, we've also added a bunch of roles to increase our line management to make sure that we're maintaining that 6-foot distance between all the different groups, all the different people. Yeah, pretty much it's going to be business as usual when it comes to volunteering, just with a few new shifts in there for different roles such as line control specifically, and maybe increased security just to help with some of the monitoring in the different areas.
Makes sense. So yeah, the next one's kind of a big one. I know, especially on social, people are always asking about dates and deadlines to make sure they don't miss anything. So can you kind of give an overview of some of the important dates that are coming up in the next few weeks?
Sure. So from my point of view in this, as the events manager, I can tell you about some of the event dates that are coming up. We have an event exclusivity form for our exhibitors, for our sponsors to basically dictate how their games are ran and who can run them at the show. That's open now and will be open until June 8th. You can find that on our website under the exhibitor tab. We have event submissions that'll be starting up June 4th and running through July 28th. With a late event period or late submission period from the 28th of July through August 11th. Parking requests, electric orders, internet orders, all of that information is coming soon. As of right now, it's planned to close on August 24th, and it's running live currently. For layout of the show, that's something that will obviously be ongoing throughout all of this, but we're kind of keeping that in conjunction with the events going live and the submission time. So that'll close also on August 24th. And then for event registration, that's going to open on September 11th, which gives everybody a couple of weeks before the show to actually pick and choose what events they want to attend at the show or from home.
Yes, exactly. Hybrid event.
Yes.
Alrighty, so I have a couple questions now that that I noticed were getting asked quite a bit by a few different people on Facebook. So quite a few people have asked, what time does the hotel block open? It opens on June 1st, but what time specifically?
Yeah, so the specific time that'll be opening is at 1 p.m. Eastern. We try to make it a little later in the day just to make sure that everyone has fair access to it and not scheduling it at some point when someone's dead asleep at 3 a.m. or something. Yeah.
So yeah, the next one, will Origins be reviewing the GM requirements and compensation information for the show this year?
Yeah, just like the volunteer compensation allotments, the perk allotments are also going down from the 32 to 24. And that's, again, just because we're losing that day and we want to make sure that the compensation meets the requirements based on what we can actually accomplish at the show this year. So because of the timing, we felt it necessary to cut that down at least by 8 hours because that's basically a day you're losing. So instead of 32 hours, it'll be 24 hours for a badge plus a perk. We've also included, by the way, this is new, something we've talked about recently. We also included a 4 and an 8 hour period for GMs. So for the 4 hour GM, anybody who submits 4 event hours, they'll be able to get a day badge for the show. For anybody who submits 8 event hours, that'll be 2 day badges for the show. If you are doing 16 or 24, those are both full show badges. They'll still be daily. You'll have to select each one of the days you're coming, but you just select them all and it'll be free for you.
So finally, a few people have asked for clarification about badge sales and hotel block timing. So badges go on sale on June 26th and our hotel block opens on June 1st. So can you clarify a bit with hotel block opening before you can buy a badge?
Yeah, so the reason we wanted to make sure to open the hotels up as soon as possible, even before we sell badges, is just to make sure that everyone who wants to come to the show can secure their room before they buy their badge, because the refund process and everything, we don't want to put anybody through that if it's unnecessary. If you can't even find lodging for the show, I mean, why buy a badge, right? So unless you have other means, but yeah, so that's the reason. We wanted to make sure that the timing was correct in order that you could buy a room and make sure you had a place to stay before you purchased your badge and then had to go through a refund process.
makes sense. Alrighty, well, we got through our questions pretty quickly, but Paul, is there anything else that you can think of that you would like viewers or attendees to know as we're planning for Origins?
Yeah, specifically the GMs and the event organizers for companies, if any of them are watching. I did want to let them know that tomorrow I'll be sending out a new GM newsletter just to give you guys some more information. I'll relay these dates as I went over today, just so you have that information in writing, as well as going over the compensation changes and yeah, pretty much the schedule for the show. I'm going to be sending that out tomorrow, probably around 1 p.m. Eastern as well, just to make sure, again, nobody gets it at the crack of dawn.
Alrighty, so I'm going to defer over to Adam, our technical, he's running our stream right now, to see if we have any questions from the audience. Adam? Adam, you are muted. I cannot hear you.
Well, actually, I have a question for you, Kelly.
Yes.
For your communications, when it comes to the GM newsletters, is there a way that people can get into your emailing list that you know of?
That's a good question. They can always shoot me an email, media@gamma.org. That's probably the easiest and quickest way, and I can just import them straight into the audience. Especially for tomorrow, I would say that would probably be the best way. And then we'll make sure we, I think we also have a button on the website as well, but we're continuing to make updates to the website day to day. So we'll make sure we get a button on there for that as well. So yes.
Thank you. So anybody who's interested, make sure you message Kelly.
Anyone that is interested, yes. If you want to subscribe to the GM newsletter, the overall Origins newsletter that I send out, it'll start going out more frequently as we get closer to the event as well. And I'll make sure that you get subscribed to that. Adam's asking me a question, and Adam, can you please speak up? I can't hear you. We're getting questions live from the audience. Okay, how many volunteers? Yep. How many volunteers will be placed in a room, Paul?
So, as we've done in years past, it depends on the level of volunteership that you participate. So, if you're a 24-hour volunteer, that usually is a 1/4 person to a room. Or pardon me, 4 people to a room is the normal. Sorry about that. Not 1/4 person. That makes no sense. But yeah, four people to a room is the usual. Based on safety for people, that could change. That's a really good question because it's not something we've talked about actually. So ensuring that we have enough lodging for all of our volunteers and not stacking them too close together or with people that they don't know would be a really important thing this year. So I'm going to go over that with the team and make sure that we get that clarification for you on that.
Yeah, and then they had kind of elaborated on that, and we goes along with what you were saying. Can they request vaccinated roommates only? Is that something that we're going to be able, since we haven't talked about this as much so far, that's probably something, we'll need to discuss further.
Asking if someone is vaccinated is a very gray area for businesses. Yes. So I know for a fact that we're not asking like a mandatory question, are you vaccinated, are you not, will you be by that time, as of right now. So requesting it would be a little difficult because I wouldn't know who's who. But again, we'll talk about that with the rest of the staff and we'll get back with a good answer for you guys.
Thank you, Paul. So next question about show hours. So will they still be running from 8 a.m. to midnight, or how is that going to look?
Yeah, so for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 8 a.m. through 1 a.m. for the halls is really what the main schedule is for those areas. For any of the other spaces that are being run by GMs or companies, those spaces are open at their leisure, essentially, whenever they wish to be there and supply events for you guys. That's when they'll be open. For Thursday, we will be open at noon as well. Running through the show, we'll have some open play area and we'll have some of our gaming groups there providing games. And that'll, again, on Thursday from noon to 1 a.m.
Got it. Next question, are volunteer leaders staying the same? Are they going to be picked from folks that volunteer now, or how's that going to work?
We do have a mailing list for our volunteers and the ones who've come in years past or signed up even last year, even though that unfortunately did not take place. We do have a mailing list for them and they're getting notified now so that they can go in and sign up. If you want to be an area lead or if you just want to be a standalone volunteer, We will have information for you on how to sign up for that. And if you do submit to be an area lead, don't be offended if you don't get picked, unfortunately, because yeah, we do have a long-standing relationship with a lot of our volunteers who do that yearly. But yeah, we might be looking for some new people, and it could be you.
Yeah, so the next question, with the health orders in Ohio being lifted in June, have we made a firm decision on masks for the event?
Yes, we have made a very firm decision that we are going to make them mandatory. It's just for the safety of everyone that we keep them in place. There's no way to social distance people at a 72-inch round where you're all playing an RPG together, aside from maybe constricting the number of people who can sit at that table. But again, you're 6 feet from the person across from you, but from the person to your right or left, it's maybe 2 or 3 feet. So there's no real way to stop that interaction from happening. So having those masks as a second layer of protection is definitely going to be mandatory. And I don't foresee that changing.
Yep, I agree with that. Alrighty, so I think, Adam, do we have any more questions from the audience?
I like the Q&A. This is fun.
Yeah. Putting you on the spot. These are the non-prepared questions.
Get to the hard ones. Come on. No.
Yeah, right. So it looks like Adam just put in a call. If anyone else has any questions, go ahead and get those in. Otherwise, it looks like we are all set. I just want to thank everyone so much for tuning in for our first one. I think it went pretty smoothly, all things considered. Origin Spotlight's going to be running bi-weekly on this Twitch channel. We have a lot of exciting programming coming up to kind of beef up our Twitch channel, especially as we head into and get closer to Origins itself. So be sure to subscribe to our Twitch if you aren't already. Looks like we have one more question. One sec. Paul, will the costume show be back this year?
Yes, the costume contest will be back this year. It'll be on Sunday instead of on Saturday. We're doing that to maybe encourage some more families, some more kid participation. It's also going to be the big showstopper at the end. It will be broadcast through our Origins Online Twitch programming during the show as well. So anybody who wants to watch virtually, we'll be happy to have you.
Yay. Yeah, and the Smithies, the comedy show, the paint and take, all happening as well.
Yes.
Adam, there was a second part to that question. Could you please repeat that? Yeah, Adam says, anything else you want to share about events? But I think that pretty much covers it, just kind of what we're having this year versus what we're forgoing this year. But I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, the larger events that we usually host each year, such as the Smithies, the comedy show, which is really popular. Nights of the Arcade, I believe, are coming back this year. So we'll have a lot of those fun entertainment shows. We'll still have our paint and takes. We'll still have seminars and workshops, pretty much just the usual fare. We're also still going to have our boardroom. So those of you who really like to have those boardroom ribbons and to go and play with friends in that open space, we'll still have that this year. Just maybe a few less tables, depending on what we can work in with social distancing. But yeah, a lot of what you know and love for our show is going to be there. I promise.
We had another question, Paul. Will there be on-site badge sales?
So currently there will not be any on-site badge sales. All of that will have to be done ahead of time. We will have an on-site area at the show to help with issues and things like that. But as far as having a long line, we're trying to get rid of those as much as possible, just to keep the social distancing easy, simple, and basically low impact, because having those crazy long lines for registration do cause a problem. Let's say it that way. So yeah, we won't have an on-site registration for badges per se. It will be there to help with issues, but don't expect to show up day of and try to get your badge in a long line. It won't be there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm too crowded. Adam, do we have any other questions from the audience? Okay, cool. Well, again, thank you. I think we'll wrap up, barring no new questions. Thanks to everyone again for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, we're going to really be beefing up our programming on Twitch moving forward. So please subscribe. You'll get email notifications whenever we're live. Also make sure that you're following us on social media. We have an Origins fan page, and then we have a discussion group as well. Make sure you follow both of those so you don't miss anything. And thanks again.